It's Jose Mourinho and his Fenerbahce side against Manchester United. He couldn't have picked a better game, Jose Mourinho, could he? Against a Man United side that might have got a win at the weekend, but as you and I discussed on ESPN FC Live, if that game had ended at half-time, it might be a different manager in charge of United this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, look, we saw from United finally what Erik ten Hag was promising, just a little bit, right? But we always say that needs confirming. And, I don't know if this is a good moment for them to go to Istanbul and play against Jose Mourinho and Fenerbahce, right? I mean, you look at that side, you think of yourself, I look at, even though some older players, but there's a lot of quality in there, right? And then they're going to face a couple of their former players, Amrabat and Fred, of course, and then Dzeko. Yeah, he may be 38, but I mean, he can still put them away. I was thinking, like, who do I take at the moment if I'm United, Edin Dzeko or Højlund? And I still think I go for Dzeko, quite frankly, because of the experience. So, look, I mean, he's going to be up for it. The atmosphere is always going to be tremendous. I think Manchester United now for a while haven't shown that they can compete, not just in the Premier League, but really, let's be honest here, last season and this season in Europe as well. So pressure continues for Erik ten Hag. And, I mean, if they were to lose there and lose badly, that's not going to go unnoticed, right? Just because they got a result at home against Brentford in a style that, quite frankly, for the first time I liked, at least in that second half.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on Manchester United. Now, on the Football Reporters this week, available on YouTube, good episode with Mark Ogden, with James Ollie, and with Rob Dawson. This category came up. This topic of Jose Mourinho and Manchester United came up. The pressure that United are under, but also Jose Mourinho. And is he what he used to be as a manager? Let's hear from the boys.
Do you get a sense that this United game is a big deal to Fenerbahce? Because I know United have got a terrible record in Turkey. I think they've lost at Galatasaray in the past. They've lost to I think Istanbul Besiktas here a few years ago in a terrible defending, I think, and they've lost at Fenerbahce as well. So they don't have a great track record there. Is this a game where Fenerbahce are looking at United as being a real kind of team to beat, or have United faded a little bit? It's not a Champions League game. Is it just not another game, but is it a game that doesn't really have the same resonance as it would have done maybe 5 or 6 years ago?
I think it's important for Jose. I think already, even when I was there a couple of weeks ago, they were talking about Man United visiting. They've started all right in the Europa League. They've drawn their 2 games. I think Jose obviously still thinks he's a Champions League manager. He's been very, very quick to tell Fenerbahce, though, that they are a Europa League team. Again, this typical kind of Mourinho put down of his own team and his own players. I think Mourinho, though, will be looking at it as a chance to show everyone that he's still got it. He's going to be absolutely licking his lips at that press conference beforehand to stick the boot into Man United, stick the boot into Erik ten Hag. That famous press conference rant about football heritage at United aren't at the level they think they are. All of that's been proved right in the intervening years. He'll be very, very quick to tell everyone that. And then you've got a game, you're right, it's an awkward place for Man United to go against a team they should be beating, but it'll be a really hostile atmosphere because it always is in Turkey. Jose will be absolutely loving all this. And the thought of him being able to put another nail in Erik ten Hag's coffin, he'll have been thinking about that for weeks. We know exactly what he's like, don't we?
So he goes into this game thinking what, Janusz? Jose Mourinho? All about him as usual, or what his team can do to his former team? Or even does he go on about thinking, well, Manchester City, if they lose the title because of what they've done in 2018, then I might have managed a Champions winning side back then. All of it is about him, though.
No, I mean, it's a little bit about him, but it can only be about Jose Mourinho if his team in this particular game does well, right? So, I mean, he has to rely on his players and Fenerbahce. I think all eyes are going to be on this one, and I think that's just a reminder of Jose Mourinho, because I do think there is a one last chapter for Jose Mourinho at one of the biggest clubs, right? I think, he's been we forgot about him a little bit. He's been with clubs that he realistically knew that he wasn't going to accomplish what he's used to. And, we've all had probably love-hate relationship with Jose Mourinho, but he's an absolute winner. I have zero zero doubts about that. And for all the things that I don't like about the way he sometimes comes across to the media or even to his players, I have tremendous respect for what he's done. And I do feel that there's something left. I don't know what that is. I don't know which club that is. It's going to be a perfect one before he walks away, his swan song, if you like. So today, I think it's going to be very, very important to say, I still have it. Now, everybody understands that this is, what Manchester United this is. Situation maybe similar to what he's left, although, as he says, he won Europa League, came second. And if somehow Manchester City gets stripped, he's going to be a winner. But I don't know if he cherished that, right? He's going to get his bonus. He's going to get his money. But I think deep down, he still thinks that, I want to go out with a bang. And I want to go out in the Champions League with one of the biggest clubs in the world.
He was the one that brought up the comments about 2017, 2018. That's why both Janusz and I have referenced that. But of course, if you're a journalist, a British journalist covering Manchester United over in Turkey, you're trying to get as much out of Jose as possible. Well, he's already there. You may as well see what you can get. And there's, I love Jose Mourinho and I love what he's brought to football. He can be a polarizing figure, but football needs that. We can't have everybody who just toes the party line. But what's changed with his management style? The Jose Mourinho at Porto that beat Celtic to win the UEFA Cup, that then won the Champions League, that then he went to Inter, did so well there. Why isn't he able to have the same success now as he did back then? Why is he now at Fenerbahce when back then he was with some of the biggest teams?
Well, I think some of it has to do with winning, his style of play. I mean, for as long as you're winning, nobody cares about that, right? It's more pragmatic. I think the viewers, the maybe younger generation, is looking for something different as well. But most importantly, I think, there's some managers, and, you can throw Pep Guardiola and there, Carlo Ancelotti, who was at Everton, right? Didn't work. You need to have good players. And once you have good players, he knows how to deal with them, how to motivate them, and how to make them winners. Because, look, you and I could go to Manchester City or some of the best clubs in the world, and we probably didn't win because we wouldn't know how to do it. And they do. It's almost, for me, it's too easy to say, what would have Jose Mourinho do, I don't know, at Fenerbahce, or, Pep Guardiola, a smaller club. I get that, but still at the highest level with the best players, I often wonder if it's not even more difficult, right? Because you're dealing with those egos and you have to make sure that everybody's on the same page, even though they don't play the number one role every time. And that's what best players want to do. So I think not having that for Jose Mourinho, that's an obvious one. But I still enjoyed when he was at those top clubs, because you're right, Mark. I mean, it's not just about the players, it's entertainment. I mean, we're going to be talking about El Clasico in a couple of days' time, right? I mean, I don't know if we'll ever see Pep Guardiola against Jose Mourinho, Cristiano Ronaldo against Leo Messi. I think we've all been fortunate to live in those times, because El Clasico is massive, and it continues to be. It amazes me, by the way, because without those names that we've talked about, we're all waiting for this weekend to see El Clasico. And there's going to be new stars and future stars. But what we've had, and part of that was Jose Mourinho, was quite incredible on and off the pitch.
Final question about this game. I want to end today on the ESPN FC Live with Manchester United. So the game against Brentford, and you went through it with a fine-tooth comb, and it was a lot better from Manchester United eventually. Is this as big a game against Fenerbahce than the Brentford game, or because it's a Europa League tie, is West Ham away on Sunday a bigger game?
It's magnified because of Jose Mourinho and everything that he said so far, and continues a little bit of a dig. Never mind that he would have won if Manchester City, but just the fact, hey, won the Europa League, came in second, and that was deemed horrible, right? Let go before that Spurs game and all of that. So I think if it was any other game, and say Manchester United lost without Jose Mourinho, I think Erik ten Hag wouldn't feel comfortable for sure. But I think this magnifies it, because there's always that danger that they go to Istanbul and say they lose 2-3-0 in this one. It just the wheels are turning, and as I've said, the win against Brentford is probably not enough for us to say, okay, Manchester United, climbing out of the bottom right now. So I think it's a massive game. I really do.